Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Darden for Q4. I hope you're excited to begin. I'd like to take this moment to welcome you to 7994 Strategic Analysis and Consulting. So, as you might know, this is the first year that this elective is being given, and it has been redesigned in the last week. So, as we get going, I'm going to say right off the bat that I'm so happy that this is a new course because it allows so much more flexibility in terms of the content, given the circumstances of how it's going to be delivered. Also, I really appreciate in advance your patience, flexibility, and feedback as we work together to make this a success. This is my first time teaching online, and I expect there will be some bugs to work out. But I'm also super excited to try some interesting things. So I hope you're going to share with me my curiosity and also lend me some of your creativity. For those of you who I have not met yet, my name is Denny Kim. I joined Darden this summer in the strategy, ethics, and entrepreneurship area. And although I wish we were meeting under better circumstances, I'm really excited to get started and spend time with you over the next 7 weeks. This recording is the first of several that I'm going to try to make along the way. Since we're all going to be suffering from some major Zoom fatigue, if you're not already, I'm going to try to protect our live and synchronous class time for great discussions. Therefore, I'm going to use these recorded or asynchronous material to deliver content to you a little bit more unidirectionally. This might include some background information, some BCase material, technical instructions, or other random things that I come up with. Along the way, I might record some asynchronous content that has nothing to do with class and is just me trying to develop comfort with the technology and to maybe prepare a side hustle in becoming an internet personality. Now, I'm open to different kinds of content and delivery to keep this as engaging and fresh as possible. So throw me some suggestions and I'll try them out. So just a little bit of background about me before we get started. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. After that, I moved to Boston for college. I went to undergrad at Harvard, and I spent about 4 years as a strategy consultant in the biotech and pharmaceutical industries before moving into a position in hospital administration within the surgical services department of Brigham and Women's Hospital. I finished my undergrad in Minneapolis at the University of Minnesota's Carlson School of Management. I actually was living in Minnesota just up until last June. So I was really happy this winter when the only snow that I saw was in photographs. All right. So with that out of the way, what can you expect from this class? Well, you can expect cold and warm calls. And so be alert. If I have these sort of minority report type views of all of the students in the class, and if I see your eyes wander, I'm probably going to call on you. The pace of this class is going to be a little bit slower than we're used to live. And so I really ask that you practice courtesy and patience with your classmates and also with me. We can't have everyone unmuting and speaking over each other. So the pace and the flow of this class is going to be a little bit more sequential. You're going to have to use the hand raise function. I'll call on somebody, and we will get used to that sort of back and forth process. But trust me, after a few sessions, we're going to get the hang of this. It's going to seem seamless. If a bunch of faculty can figure it out over the past couple of days, I have no doubt that you'll be fine. I'm going to use a iPad to basically substitute for the chalkboard in some of our discussions. I may also bring in some other technology along the way to facilitate discussion. Going to do virtual office hours. So as we get started, I'll announce and put on the course website the times and the Zoom link to use where you can just drop in, we can chat. Of course, we could also schedule times outside of the normal office hours. If we stay cooped up long enough inside, I think we might have to try some happy office hours as well. And then again, we're going to be patient and flexible with each other. I really look forward to that same energy that you all brought to quarter two. I'm looking at you, section D, and I know that we're going to get through this together. All right, so let's just go over a few ground rules. The expectation is that you're going to be on time and prepared. That's no different than if we were on grounds in class together. Video on if possible. So again, if you have any circumstances that are going to prevent you from having the video on during class sessions, let me know in advance. If you're there, your video is off, I'm going to assume that you've checked out and you're doing other things, and that's going to affect your participation. So just give me a heads up. Again, mic's muted unless speaking. This is going to be really important just to keep order in the class and to prevent any painful feedback and static. You can take a look at the Zoom keyboard shortcuts. So on Windows devices, Alt-A. On Macs, the Command-Shift-A in order to mute and unmute your device. Use the raise hand feature. So Alt-Y or Option-Y. This is going to be basically your primary way of letting me know that you've got something to say, you've got a question, and for whatever reason, if I don't see it or you feel like that I might have missed it, just unmute quickly and interrupt just to get my attention. The chat feature is going to be on, but really it's going to be a secondary tool. I'm not going to be able to check that live during class sessions. You know, if I see something that catches my eye, I might try to address it. But by and large, I'm not going to be looking to the chat in order to get your contributions to the class discussion or to field questions. I will be able to see the transcript after class is over. And so if there are any interesting notes or comments there, I can address those after class in an email or maybe in a recording. But as far as the live discussion is concerned, the chat's going to be a secondary tool. All right, so with that out of the way, I want to take a moment here to try a little bit of a mini lecture, give you a little bit of a background on strategy as a discipline, which informs the way that I think about this course, about strategic analysis, and also its relationship to consulting. So, of course, we can find examples of the practice of strategy dating back millennia. But the study of strategy, particularly business strategy, is a surprisingly new field. The roots of the study of strategy can be traced back to industrial organization or IO economics. So around the mid-1900s, the dominant framework, notably attributed to the work of Joe Bain, no relation to Bain and Company, was called structure, conduct, performance. This was a way of understanding why different industries differed in their profitability. According to this framework, the financial performance of an industry was determined by the conduct of buyers and sellers, which in turn was determined by the structure of industries. The structure comprised things like technology, demand for the product, supply chains, etc. Now, this worldview, though, had to contend with the simple fact that even within an industry, firms did different things and often had different outcomes. So this shift in analysis from trying to understand industries to trying to understand firms is where much of modern day strategic analysis comes from. And there's perhaps no single person more associated with this shift than Michael Porter. So when we consider something like Porter's Five Forces, we see the tradition that Porter was coming from, the IO econ tradition. So recall that the Five Forces is an industry level analysis. We're getting key components of an industry structure and conduct. But Porter also noted, perhaps pointing out the obvious, that there was a significant limitation to this IO perspective. IO theory views industries as homogeneous units, but firms are not all alike. And so he writes, this theory of industry-wide or shared asset profit determination, versatile as it is proven, is at odds with both commonplace observation and a small but growing number of systematic empirical studies. All firms in the typical industry are clearly not alike. They follow very different strategies along dimensions such as their degree of vertical integration, breadth of product line, distribution arrangements, and so on. So the academic study of strategy or strategic management is the result of this shift. What happens if instead of viewing the industry as a unit, we look at the firm? And what is it that makes a firm perform differently than other firms? This really is at the heart of strategic analysis. So if you recall from our strategist toolkit, in chapter 1, there's this somewhat omnibus definition from Kenneth Andrews of what strategy is. That's a lot of things. And in Q2, we sort of distilled that down to 3 main categories or domains of organizational life that comprise strategy: the values, opportunities, and capabilities. We also discussed that it's at the intersection of these three domains where we often find firms' valuable competitive position, or the space in which a company is able to create value for stakeholders and generate profits or rents. When we analyze a firm and its competitive position, past, present, and future, our goal is to better understand the what, where, why, and how of the valuable competitive position. So what is it that creates value? Where do we create value? Why does this create value? And how do we accomplish this? Note here that there's a crucial difference between the structure, conduct, performance roots and today's conceptions of strategy, that performance is no longer simply the rate of return or profit margins. It can be, it often is, but that is not all it's limited to. And it's basically saying that value is not just creating, shareholder returns. And so strategic analysis, as we're going to get into in this course, it supports key business functions. It supports planning, problem solving, decision making, implementation. But what we're really going to try to get at in this course is what makes these activities strategic. So as a consultant, you may be contributing to or assisting in any of these activities for your client. But what is the difference between strategic planning and short-term planning or planning for next week's or next month's conference or business meeting? What is a strategic problem, and what makes that different than a tactical or a short-range problem that a lower level or mid-level manager might deal with, as opposed to someone in the executive suite? And so this course is not going to be a how-to guide or consultant training. We are not trying to play the role that your employer's training staff are expert at doing. They're going to teach you how to be consultants in their firm, in their industry, in their line of work. That sort of on-the-job training is not something that we can reproduce, and we're not going to try to in the classroom. This is going to be advanced strategic analysis with a bent towards application. It's about developing a strategic mindset for your work and also for your life. So what I would love for everyone to be able to do at the end of this course is to be able to, in daily life or things that you encounter, understand what is the strategic problem here, or is there a strategic problem? Is this simply a matter of operational efficiency or inefficiency, or is there something larger? Is there something that is deeply wrong about either a situation in your own life, in your career, or maybe you're a client or a customer of a particular organization, things don't go correctly? Is there something that is deeply, fundamentally flawed about how this business is operating or trying to create value for its stakeholders? We're going to build proficiency with what is your bread and butter. That's Excel, PowerPoint, depending on your level of familiarity as well as your sort of technical capabilities. That might also extend into other software, but you're going to spend most of your lives, for better or for worse, this summer in Excel and PowerPoint. So we're going to get some practice using that. And then importantly, you're going to understand or try to understand why and how consultants provide value to clients with respect to firm and organizational strategy, right? You will quickly learn as a consultant that your recommendations often are not implemented. But what I'm going to try to help you see is how the strategic analysis that we learn how to do in this class and the strategic analysis that you will be conducting in your careers, how is that helping, or how is that related to the sort of decision-making process or the strategic problems that your clients, firms, potential clients are contending with, on a regular basis. And so that's it for this introductory video. We'll be in communication through the week. But in the meantime, if you have any questions about the course, about logistics, shoot me an email. You know how to get in touch with me. Otherwise, I really look forward to seeing you in class on Wednesday. All right, everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, keep good spirits, stop watching the news. See you on Wednesday.